welcome aboard to this episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to following the entire story of One Piece from beginning to end as we focus on one volume each episode. We keep the discussion spoiler-free for new fans of the series, so this is the perfect place to follow along, whether you're new to the series or just want to revisit the world of One Piece with us. This week, we will be covering volume 52, Roger and Rayleigh, which covers chapters 503 through 512. My name is Joel, and I'll be your host. Joining me today, we have Sean.
This is Sean.
We have Evan.
Hey, this is Evan.
And we have Cody.
Let's go. This is Cody. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun volume.
Yeah, this is a nice follow-up to last week. Like, especially where we left it off, so.
Gets real. The lore. I'll save that for later, though.
Yeah. We'll hopefully begin to see a little bit more of the supernovas that were just briefly introduced last volume. So that's something to look forward to here. But I'm just going to give a quick recap from last volume. The Strats were able to rescue Hachi from the Flying Fish Riders. During the fight, Luffy removed Deval's iron mask to reveal his face, which was identical to Sanji's wanted poster. Deval wanted revenge on Sanji for the Navy hunting him down, mistaking him for the pirate. Sanji kicked Deval in the face, rearranging his bone structure to make him look completely different. Deval was thrilled with this new look, and rebranded themselves as the Rosy Life Riders. The Strats made their way to Saboti Archipelago, the last stop before Fishman Island, to enter the New World. First, they would need to have their ship coded to make the trip underwater, so Hachi agreed to take them to a specialist he knows, with the condition that the Strats not defy the Celestial Dragons. The specialist, Rayleigh, wasn't at Shaki's bar, but Shaki let them know he hasn't been there in a few months. But he does like to spend time at the amusement park. She also warned that they weren't the only notable crew here at this time, as there is a total of 11 rookies with bounties over 1 million berries, collectively known as 11 supernovas. A few of the Strats took Kami, Papagu, and Hachi on some of the rides during the search, but unknown to them, fishermen and mermaids are discriminated against, especially here. Kami was kidnapped by Peterman and brought to the human auction hall in Grove 1. When they realized Kami was kidnapped, they called upon the Rosy Life Riders to help find their friend. They were able to learn where Kami was being held, so they all made their way to the auction before it was too late. When the auction hall made it clear they wouldn't give their friend back and had the world government on their side, Nami decided they would just have to buy back their friend with their treasure. Fortunately, that plan fell apart instantly when the Celestial Dragon St. Charles bid 500 million berries for the mermaid. Luffy crashed into the auction hall and tried to get Kami back, but during the commotion, Charles shot Hachi in front of everyone. Furious, Luffy could hold back no longer and smashed Charlos with a punch.
Fuck you, Charlos.
Yeah. Get him out of here.
I'm sure everything's going to calm down now. Everyone's going to collect themselves, and we're all going to go home happy. But
They beat the bad guy. Everything's right with the world.
yeah,
The Celestial Dragons just picked, you know what? That was our bad. We were being
those are
jerks.
bad.
We
Yeah.
deserve that.
Party foul.
I've learned
Party
the error of my
foul.
ways.
All right, so let's find out if that's true.
Through 3 sizes that day.
If you had a heart.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Okay, chapter 503, Aggravated Island. The audience was stunned upon witnessing Luffy attack a Celestial Dragon. Luffy apologizes because now they'll have to deal with a Navy Admiral. The Strats incurred the wrath of nobles and decided to fight them and the guards off. Luffy says they need to get the bomb off of Kami's neck and get out of here. But as the rest of the people evacuate, Law tells Luffy the Navy was already here. It was unclear who they're looking for. In retaliation, St. Sharia threatened to kill the mermaid, who was knocked unconscious as an older man entered from the back, who was one of the prisoners. The man sees his friend Hachi and deduces what happened. Without moving, he knocks everyone out that was fighting the Straw Hats. He tells Luffy his straw hat fits him well, and he's wanted to meet him. All right. Hey, where do you guys want to start on this one?
Start on that first page. I love seeing the wake of destruction that Luffy's punch created. Like Charles really got knocked back, you know. Like we saw the punch, but we didn't see the aftermath of the punch. So it was very satisfying getting to see how impactful the punch really was.
yeah, and like everybody's trying to process what's happening. It's like they almost can't comprehend that somebody would be bold enough to do something like this. So everybody's just in complete shock. They're just like, like, what? This guy just did this?
Yeah, I love we get this really strong reaction from everybody except the Straw Hats. I feel like the Straw Hats just take this in stride and they're just like, "Yep, that's our Luffy." You know,
literally, Nami's just like, "Oh well, what are you gonna do?"
yeah,
Well,
Luffy.
I also said the other pirates as well. So Law and Kid also seem to they're more amused than they are like in shock.
Yeah. Well, it's just down for the drama.
The day just got way more exciting for them than they expected. Like, and then
I do love seeing like three person this time. Let's go.
Go for it. I think we're all about to say the same thing.
Sean, go ahead.
Just how immediately Zoro's like, well, you just got him to him first. I was about to kill him.
All right, Evan.
I was going to say pretty much the same thing. It's just like heartwarming to see how supportive the Straw Hats are immediately and how they kind of just take Luffy's actions in stride and immediately back him up. I thought that was just like, it felt right.
Yeah, for sure.
It was fun to see.
And Cody, what were you going to say?
You were right. It was the same thing.
Yeah, we all said the same thing.
Yeah. But like, there's not even a moment of like, oh shit. It's just, okay, cool. Well, I can go and find the keys. Actually, Frankie, can you get that? Like, they're just already down for it. They're already thinking about next steps. They're just, they've become a unit at this point. It's wonderful.
Yep.
And then Usopp butt drops on Dad. So, like, it just gets better and better. Sorry, dude. I love that he just has no idea what he's even done at first, too. Like,
I also love the beginning of the jump where he's like, "I never agreed to jump."
Yeah, not realizing the severity of like falling on this person is like he doesn't realize how big of a deal that was.
Whoops, sorry, dude.
Luffy once again focused on asking Trafalgar Law about the bear.
Yes.
Yes.
Priorities.
I love that. That was like our reaction too on the podcast. It was like, what's the deal with the bear?
He still refuses to answer.
We need answers.
Is he a bear? Is he a guy in a bear suit? I don't know.
So Law points out that the Navy was already here. So my reading is that was it Garp's men that were here? Because Garp was saying to hold off, right? But like they were here for Rayleigh, probably.
I mean, or just the fact that there's like a bunch of high bounty pirates in the area too, like all the supernovas. Like,
yeah, but the specifically at the auction hall, I'm trying to see if the reason was because of Rayleigh or not.
I think Rayleigh seems like the only one that would make sense. I wonder if it's because like, okay, we're not going to try and capture Rayleigh because that's just not going to go well. We're a bunch of mooks. But like Rayleigh's probably not getting taken as a slave. And if it gets messy, let's at least be there to like try and make this not spread out to the other groves if we can.
Yeah.
That's my guess at least.
Or it could be just to make sure he is there, like confirmation. But like maybe they weren't supposed to like attack. But I don't know. It's also conspicuous that like there was like already a large Navy presence. Yeah, so I know exactly how to read that. But they seem to be here for a purpose.
Yeah.
Other than the Straw Hats. So they just happened to be here because they weren't expecting Celestial Dragon to be punched. That wasn't something like on anybody's bingo card today. But here we are.
Luffy just really causes chaos wherever he goes. Like even the one panel when Usopp and Robin drop down and you just see the fish flying in, breaking the wall and the ceiling, and everyone running. It's like, wow, this wasn't a good place, but it got real disorderly real quick.
Yeah,
they just went from and like actually on that same set of pages, I just love like the low angle as everyone's running out of there. It just adds so much to the what the fuck just happened of the moment. I think Oda does a really good job establishing it here.
Yeah. And the
I also
Celestial
really love,
Dragons. Go ahead.
Rayleigh's presence and appearance here, taking the stage and using hockey to take out pretty much the whole crowd. Pretty much, not everyone, but most of the people. I feel like it's one of his first real displays of power that we've seen, and pretty impressive.
Yeah, especially on the scale too.
Yeah, it's like clearing out a lot of really powerful opponents.
Yeah, and it does seem like, well, because it does get rid of the people who are the enemies of the Straw Hats. So yeah, I think we'll get a little bit more information about this in the next chapter. But yeah, I think that it just shows that the people that, like the common people, are not able to withstand like this hockey power that Rayleigh possesses. So you have to be like a little bit like above like the norm in order to be able to withstand something like this.
Right. Which leads to a really cool panel of Rayleigh up on stage and Luffy in the audience, and like everyone's passing out around them, and they're kind of just like facing each other. It's just like a really cool composed shot or composed panel.
Sure.
And then it kind of ends the chapter with Rayleigh saying that he's wanted to meet Luffy, which is pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I also just love the way that Rayleigh carries himself, like how much we're getting of who this guy is just from the way he walks and talks. He's so nonchalant. He's even laughing at the fact that they're not going to take a slave like me. I would have had anyone to rob. It's fine. But just the way he, like, every step he takes, his posture just belies it. This is someone we have never seen anybody like before. This guy he is powerful. He has seen some stuff. He's just so grandiose, but he's also just doesn't take himself seriously at all. I think it's just such a great. Yeah,
I would say the closest character we've seen to this is Garp, but this seems like a slightly I would say Rayleigh's slightly less wacky. So there's also a more of an air of mystery, which like Garp's kind of an open book. You look at like, and he's a very big open book, and he's a very powerful old open book, but you kind of get what he is within like a few seconds. This guy, you're still like, what is his deal? Because he's mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good comparison. I was gonna say Shanks is also kind of similar. I think because again, we've seen like Shanks have like this like aura about him, and the way like just like the panel like where Rayleigh is like laughing, it's like, hey Hachi, it's like, oh, I haven't seen you in like a long time. That also kind of feels like very Shanks like, just like that big laugh. But like it's just like a level of confidence about him, but like also kind of like a fun like side to him too. You know, he's not taking things too seriously because like he knows that like he's like the most powerful person in the room. So, but yeah, I think Garp is a very good parallel too, because Garp does have the same kind of like doesn't take things seriously kind of attitude, but he also does feel like very experienced.
Yeah,
100%.
Very excited for this meeting.
And then we also get another panel where we see an emphasis on Rayleigh's eye. So when he's using the hockey power. So it seems like there's, again, some kind of like something tied to like the way that like, I think it's just for the effect, but like there's a reason that like Oda is like focusing on the eye to convey this type of power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you guys have anything else for this one?
That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Shit be popping off.
Okay, let's move on to CP9's Independent Report, Volume 13. Waiting for them to finish shopping. Bluno, Jabra, Kaku, and Fukuro enjoy some coffee at a cafe. Yeah, after all that hard work, trying to get the money, like yeah, let's just take things a little easy
for a bit. Yeah,
yeah. Steady vibing.
Okay, moving on to the chapter. Chapter 504, Pirate Front Line on the Move. Word has gotten out that Luffy attacked the Celestial Dragon, causing panic across the entirety of Sabaody Archipelago and the other supernovas. At Merijoa, Sengoku is frustrated at the trouble that Luffy is once again causing and treating this as a hostage situation of the Celestial Dragons. Admiral Kizaru offers to go take care of this. Disco calls Doflamingo for help with the auction hall, but Doflamingo doesn't care and even gives him the haul. He says that slave trade is old business and this is the era of the smile. He tells the new owner he has more important business and has been summoned as one of the 7 warlords to take on Whitebeard. The Navy prepares their weapons to fight the pirates outside the auction hall. Rayleigh is somehow able to grab Kami's collar off of her and throws it away before it explodes by using Haki. Frankie gives the keys to the rest of the slaves who are being held to free them. Rayleigh acknowledges Law and Kid, along with their crews, for being able to withstand his Haki from earlier, but they realize he is sober as Rayleigh, former first mate of Roger's crew. He says he just coats ships now and prefers to go by Ray. He thanks Luffy for helping his friend, but they will have to get out of here first. Luffy, Law, and Kid decide to take on the Navy soldiers outside. All 3 demonstrate their devil fruit powers as they start taking on the Navy. So it's like the chaos has already gotten out beyond the auction hall, so it didn't take too long. Yeah, so I think it's interesting to see the way the different supernova captains react to this news. Like they all kind of handle it differently in their own way.
Mm-hmm. Apu and Hawkins, they're different. They're not worried at all.
I want to stay and see what the Admiral's like. Apu, please don't say that. Let's run. Calm down. I didn't get a reading. Today is the day of my day.
Yeah, then we cut to Sengoku.
This is not the first time or last time that Sengoku says this kind of what's going on with that family, and it makes me laugh every time. There's a particular line in the future that I can't wait for. But
yeah, is this the first time that the Marines have mentioned the bloodline?
Kind of. Maybe.
Well, I think he's also including Garp in this too.
Yes.
Right.
So even though Garp's like, a vice admiral, he's still kind of like, come on, Garp, keep your family in line. Like, come on, like, what's up, dude? But like, not that long ago, we had the Enisabi incident, and already like, Luffy started another like world incident.
In fact, they call it the Employment Assistant Office. The Employment Assistance Office.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He catches himself because at first he calls it the human auction, then he corrects himself for the more like PC term. Yeah. So yeah, we have confirmation here that they acknowledge that like,
and they just let it go. They don't give a shit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain satisfaction in seeing the top slaver guy on the phone with Doflamingo, and Doflamingo's like, "Tough shit, buddy. You're it's not my problem. I got bigger issues to fry right now." Like,
I got an old man to fight. I got my own problems.
I do like that we get the sense from like Doflamingo that he's kind of like on top of like the current trend. So he feels kind of like somebody who is like a business person who might be like trying to sit on top of like like a stock market that might be like trying to like go for like the stocks that might be like the ones that are going to be like the big ones, or like know like when to get rid of like ones that are like going to go down. So like he seems to be very in tune with like the businesses of the world, and like he's like an entrepreneur in that way. Because again, we haven't really seen too much of Doflamingo, but that's the sense I'm getting from him, like the way he's talking here, and he's like, he seems like he's very focused on like the future and like the next big thing. So I kind of feel like we get a sense here he's kind of like he's okay with like letting this go because he's like this isn't what I'm focusing on now. I'm putting my efforts into something that's more important to me. In addition to, of course, being summoned for taking on Whitebeard, which is going to be pretty crazy. But just like in general, like his whole like approach to the business is just like, oh, that's just another thing that like, yeah, that's like old news. Moving on to the next thing now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to get Doflamingo's perspective on this, because if this news of like the new era that's about to begin and this war that's about to break out, it's kind of cool getting Doflamingo's angle on it, because he's kind of like right in the middle of this, being a warlord, and he mentions the new era, and then he mentions this is the era of the smile,
right?
Which I feel like his jolly is a smile.
Mm-hmm.
So that feels kind of telling on, because like I said, I feel like he's kind of right on the fence here of this war, and he could kind of benefit either way that it goes.
Yeah.
So I think it sounds like he's kind of excited for this breaking point because it could benefit him.
Yeah,
it's like a win-win. It's like a win-win for him, right? Like,
yeah,
I like that.
Which is kind of why he's excited about it. He's kind of like, yeah, forget that business. Like, we got bigger things going on over here.
Yeah.
But either way, he's smiling in the end. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he says Whitebeard versus the 7 warlords, but it feels more like Whitebeard versus the Marines, and then the warlords are kind of somewhere in between.
Yeah, well, they fall into the camp of the Navy,
right?
Like they're technically not part of the Navy, but they fall within like that side,
right?
Yeah, they're like an extension of it, but not the person Whitebeard's attacking.
Yeah.
I also enjoy even more Rayleigh hype, the fact that the Straw Hats literally have this whole plan. Okay, we're gonna get the cuffs. We're gonna make sure that we get Cammy out right on time. And even when like the one thing they can still do to be the ones to rescue Cammy and like do what they need to, Frankie gets the keys. Rayleigh just doesn't even need them. And I believe this is just him taking car off and throwing it so like faster than it can explode. That's like the explanation I can think of. But I don't know. It just pops out to me because like they didn't need Frankie to be like, "Hey, we have the keys. Like, what's going on?" Because like the impact of the moment is demonstrated just by Rayleigh doing that with the bomb. It's already an exciting scene. So I think it's just to show like just how strong this, like just how much of a legend this guy is, even compared to the Straw Hats who've made it halfway through the Grand Line. Like how big that difference is between them.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because it does really show like highlights, like because like we've seen the 11 supernovas and they're considered like the big shots right now, right? So like they're rookies, but they're showing like what this generation is capable of. But now we're seeing like somebody who is legendary and what they're capable of, and we can see like what they're doing is like almost beyond the comprehension of like the current pirates that we're seeing. So it's really exciting to see, even for them, this is something that like they're just like blown away by like how powerful this guy is.
100%.
But I do like how Frankie decides to give the keys to the other slaves.
Yep.
Even though like he wasn't able to save Cammy. He's like, well, we can at least get the rest of the slaves. Like they weren't here for them, but they're like,
hey, slaves,
might as well.
All the fires right away.
So I think it just shows like a level of compassion, because again, they're pirates. They didn't have to do this, but like they're good people. So
yeah.
To continue from like the last chapter, I was saying how like in this one we'll see a little bit more details about like how the hockey power affected the people. So the heart pirates and the kid pirates were able to withstand Rayleigh's hockey power. So Rayleigh wasn't intentionally like, it seems like he was just kind of like knocking out like anybody who was like a threat, but it seems like they were just like powerful enough to withstand his hockey anyway. But it looks like one of the guys next to Law is saying like, "Oh, I almost passed out." So like he was almost affected by it, but he was just able to withstand it. So it shows that like they are pretty formidable themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like Law and Kid seem to have an easier time withstanding because they're obviously more powerful.
Right, and the resistance seems to be power based and not like a targeted effect.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of power based, we get to see the top 3 supernova, you know, exit at the same time. And this was a big hype moment. I was like super hyped to see these 3 standing side by side. I feel like we kind of been waiting for that since their introduction.
Yeah.
And I think Oda did a really cool thing here with having the 3 cannonballs fire simultaneously and having our 3 pirates like handle them all in their own way. Like I thought that was such a cool way for each person to demonstrate their ability and how to repel this cannonball. And yeah, I really had no expectations. So this was quite the experience. Specifically Law's ability to sort of create this like bubble arena around himself, and then is able to control I haven't fully grasped how this works, but he's able to swap places. He's able to decapitate his opponent and then swap the head of said decapitated opponent in the cannonball. And then the head is still like animated and like talking. So yeah, I mean, we've seen some pretty weird abilities, but this one is pretty unique.
It's kind of like a reverse buggy.
Yeah, kind of.
Turns other people into chop people. Yeah, but it seems like you have a good read on the power though, because yeah, it is like a little bit like abstract in a way where it's like it's like not laid out exactly what's going on, but you can get a sense for like how he's like handling himself and his powers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seems to have like exceptional control within this like semicircle that appears around him.
Or room.
We get to see more of it later. Like a room. Oh yeah, he says room.
Nice.
That's right.
Nice.
It reminds me kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen.
Domain.
A domain.
Domain expansion.
Yeah.
Cody, did you have anything that you want to talk about with Law here?
I don't want to say too much because I don't want to like. This power is just such a cool one to experience for the first time that I don't want to get too into it or like unintentionally like say anything I shouldn't. Okay. But I remember freaking out when I first saw it because I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Also, it's not like the only thing I love about him, but I do love how much of a troll Law is. Because like Luffy's like, I'll take the attack, I'll send it right back at you. Kid's like, you're not even gonna touch me. Law's like, you're not gonna touch me, and I'm gonna scare the shit out of you. And to me, there's like, you didn't have to go that hard, but you had fun doing it, so good for you.
We'll definitely see more of that in the next chapter as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a pretty shocking reveal, though, like compared to other powers. Just like how gruesome and vulgar it is relative to other powers we've seen. Like, you know, this person literally just gets decapitated. I'm just like, oh man, we just went there. Like, I don't think we've gone there yet. Pretty brutal. And then he switches places with the cannonball and has someone's decapitated head in his hand. I was like, wow, this is intense. It does take a more comical turn, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, guys, like, I mean, can we tell at this point? Yeah, like, clearly the guy's not dead because his head can still yell, but it is kind of gruesome. And
his head is reacting to watching his body get hit by a cannonball, essentially.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
It's not like, it's not necessarily horrifying, but it's just a bit unsettling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like there's also a lot like, oh, it's just this guy in like a hoodie and jeans, but it's like I don't know, it's the bags under his eyes. He's kind of there's something's up with this guy. I don't know what, but like I don't know if I fully trust the vibe here. He's very mysterious, and to me, I just found that very fascinating.
Yeah, and his moniker is Surgeon of Death. So
Surgeon of Death.
I don't know if that's the guy you want, like having like your life in his hands. but like his like on like first look, like his power does seem like super powerful. Just like being able to have that much control over like this area.
Yeah.
I wonder what Chopper would think of that moniker. Wait a second, no, that doesn't work.
I wonder my insurance will think of that moniker.
All right, you guys got anything else for this one?
No.
All right, let's move on. CP9's Independent Report, Volume 14, Waking Up. Hattori greets Lucci, who is now waking up after being treated.
Oh, look at all these psychopaths. Getting better. I'm so happy.
At least Hattori's happy.
Hattori's still looking sharp.
Yeah,
it's really wholesome. Hattori's happy.
It's a very dapper.
He
dapper
does look
bird.
very happy. That does make me happy.
Okay, moving on to chapter 505, Kuma. Law uses his abilities to rearrange the body parts of the Navy soldiers, while Luffy winds up with a giant fist, and Kid uses his powers to lift up the weapons into the air, forming a giant fist of his own. The three captains defeat a bunch of Navy soldiers, while the rest of their crew comes out to help. Kid says he's happy he got to meet Luffy, but they will be enemies next time they meet in the New World. Luffy says that's fine, but he's the one who will get the One Piece. Kid says people laughed every time he said that, but it'll be the people who don't have the guts to admit it in the New World who are the ones who won't make it. Law recruits the Celestial Dragon slave, former Captain Jean Bart. Pirate crews each go their separate ways, and the Rosy Life Riders arrive to help Luffy's crew escape. The Kid pirates find themselves face to face with Kuma and wonder what one of the warlords is doing here. So now we get to see more of their powers in action. We got a little taste in the last chapter, but this one's like full on, like seeing their abilities.
Yeah, it looks like they all earned their bounties. I mean, they all have very powerful abilities here. We get to see Kid's ability in more clarity here, how he can kind of control and manipulate metal.
Magneto!
Yeah.
Magneto style, yeah. He kind of builds this like super massive metal arm. Yeah, made out of like scrap or all. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
It's
yeah,
pretty cool ability, and very effective against a heavily armed Marine battalion.
Yeah, he's essentially taken their weapons
Previously
from him.
heavy armed.
Yeah. And now he's armed.
Now,
let's go. Let's
good.
go. I love that. Nice.
Yeah, pretty epic battle ensues. And then we have our three captains kind of standing in front of the chaos. And there's kind of a cool moment of like recognition between all three of them. Particularly when Luffy mentions the One Piece. They kind of both perk their ear and seem intrigued by Luffy stating that. So I thought that was kind of a cool moment between the three captains here. They all definitely seem like-minded in a sense, or I think they all have some similar goals.
Yeah, it's a nice contrast from what we've seen with Jaya. So like Luffy had the same type of experience that Kid did, where people laughed at him when he said the One Piece was what they're looking for, and then like Bellamy like said like, oh, you believe that myth, and like, you know, the Mocktown like laughed at them, and then like the only kindred spirit that he really found there was Blackbeard, who was like, yeah, like keep chasing that dream, Kid, like, you know, that's like go for that. So like that was the only person who really encouraged him at that time, which is unfortunate now that we know like what kind of person he is. But I think that also does highlight that the Blackbeard is also from the same kind of like mindset as well as like these pirates, where it's like the One Piece is like their dream, and you know, Kid is expressing like, he's like, oh yeah, anytime somebody like laughed at us for saying they were going after the One Piece, like we killed them, which is a different reaction than what Luffy had. But their ultimate goal is the One Piece. So I think it's very interesting their approach here, and how he's saying that the people who are willing to go after the One Piece are the people who have like what it takes to make it. And so people who aren't like able to admit to themselves like their dreams, those are the people who are going to fail.
Yeah, this was a cool moment. I feel like it was the first time we've heard Luffy mention the One Piece in a while too. Just out loud.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a reader, I was also kind of like, ooh, the One Piece. Like I also had that reaction. I was kind of like, ooh. haven't mentioned that in a minute.
I do really love this like sort of 3-way rivalry we're getting set up for, because like
Yes.
it feels very much framed that way. I think particularly between Luffy and Kid, just because you have Gear Third on one panel, then the other side's just the magnet version of Gear Third. And Joel, your comparison with Mocktown, I think is incredibly case in point, as far as how they handle when people disparage their dream. But this time when I read it, it got me thinking about the fact that the reason Luffy is the way he is was in Mocktown is because of Shanks. And because of the fact that Shanks would tell him that if someone insults you, that's really not the most important thing. Your friends are what's important. There are bigger things. And Shanks also gave Luffy this idea of, pirates just people who are free. And they're cool people, you know? Like, Shanks is a good guy. To Luffy, that's what a pirate's been. Meanwhile, Yushi's Kid, he's letting civilians be casualties, if not just killing them for laughing at him. So I think that it's just another layer of like how immediately this contrast between them is set, and how it just calls back to something so integral to Luffy's character. That didn't hit as much for me before when I first read the chapter.
Yeah, I do think it kind of highlights too that like not all the pirates that Luffy's going to encounter are going to be like the good version of pirates that Luffy like has like this image of, and what he thinks makes a good pirate. But you know, so like there's like similarities with Kid, and like there's like differences with Kid, but like the main thing is like they both have the same goal, but they're very different people in the sense of like what's like their moral compass. So like I just think it's very interesting to meet different kinds of pirates and who are Luffy's direct peers at this point.
Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
But going back to what we talked about in the last chapter, seeing more of Law's powers, I think is also fun here, because he's like very much trolling a lot of these people. Like, so the person's head who got chopped off is still off, but he's talking about how like his body feels hot, so he's still connected to his body. So even though like he was his head was quote unquote dismembered, like it's still connected to it. So I think it is kind of like if you like compare it to Buggy, it's similar how like Buggy could still feel like when like you kicked like his other parts, like he would still feel that. So I do think it's very similar to how Buggy's powers would work in that kind of case.
Agreed.
Then like we see like him like rearranging like the different people's like parts and stuff, and like he's attaching like legs to people, like where people's arms should be. Like he's attaching them to barrels. He put like two torsos on top of each other. So like there's a whole bunch of like crazy stuff going on, and it's like really messing with them. So, like it's like psychological damage too, because they're like, what's going on? And I do think it's funny how at the end, like when we see the three captains stand there, like with their like after like demonstrating their abilities and what they can do, and then Luffy turns like into a little small kid, and they're like, oh, okay. Well, I was like, oh, you really in a high note.
There.
Yeah.
And then we get to see Killer and Beppo and a couple of the other second stringers get to show their stuff, which is nice.
Even the Marines want to know about the bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get it.
Yeah, well, you get the name for the bear. Yeah, so Beppo's pretty sweet.
Is he saying I?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the deal with the bear?
What's the deal? I just want to know, like, what gave Oda the idea? Yeah, I'm gonna make a bear in a boiler suit that does karate. Yeah, I love it.
I haven't done that yet, right?
Come up with it.
It's not his first bear man, though. It's not his first bear man, right? Isn't there the
True.
elusive Where's Waldo Bear Man?
Panda Man.
Panda Man.
Panda Man. That's what I'm thinking of.
Who is in this volume? We love Panda Man.
I wish I spotted Panda Man more.
Yeah, like I said, like I literally always miss Panda Man. But then like some of these pages, I think Cody, you said that he's in this volume. Did you actually see where he was?
I only saw it when, because they sometimes, like, after the chapter, they're like, here's the panel Panda Man was in, really zoomed in.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I saw it this time.
Yeah, because I remember that being here too, but I don't remember exactly where. But yeah, I didn't notice it like going through it, but yeah, he's there.
Yeah, like literally first page of the volume. Like I read it today, and I'm like, oh shit, he was in this volume, wasn't he? Open up for the podcast, immediately find him, but only because I have been led to it.
Oh yeah, first page of the volume.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that there's like a little Where's Waldo in One Piece. That's just so fun.
It's just those little things.
Captain Jean Bart is free thanks to Law's assistance.
Yeah, so he was previously the big slave that was being dragged around by the Celestial Dragons.
Yeah, by Charles's dad or daughter or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so he like we saw him like last volume, like just kind of being like walked around. I don't even know what his deal was, but like we just say he's like a big guy. Yeah, we do get the reveal that he was a former captain that Law recognizes. So I do think it's really cool that like Law is like, hey, how about you come with me? Like, and then Jean Bart's like, yeah, that's what I was doing before.
Yeah. Comparatively,
it's just me, Straw Hat too. Yeah.
And then we end on the arrival of a very tall fellow with very thin legs.
All right, you guys got anything else for this one?
No.
Okay, moving on. CP9's Independent Report, Volume 15. Discharge from the hospital. The doctors release Lucci, who is greeted by the other members of CP9, happy to see he's doing better.
Man, they just look so free and happy and like they are living normal lives and not being murderers, and I just love that for them.
Maybe they were
like they're like functional members of society. That's kind of lit.
Or they have a secret agenda and they're just posing as normal people.
Evan, why do you have to ruin this for me?
That's
totally to be happy. I just want Kaku
that's
to be
all
happy.
we know from them. Yeah, me too.
I can't do it again.
Well, they did go into cover for what was it, 5 years in War 7?
Yeah.
So they can do a few days. All right, so we'll move on. Chapter 506, Roger and Rayleigh. As the Heart Powers continue to fight their way through the Navy soldiers, they realize the kid is confronting Kuma. Kuma notices Law and shoots a beam at him. Law has been dragged into the fight, so the two captains reluctantly team up once again. Peterman was beat up by Duval, who retrieved Kami's bag for her. The Rosy Life Riders drop the strats at Shaki's bar. Luffy is shocked to learn Rayleigh was on Roger's crew. Rayleigh tells that about 20 years ago, Hachi had saved their life, which is how they had met. Sanji asked why only Roger was executed 22 years ago. Rayleigh clarified that the crew was never captured. Roger had turned himself in, though the government reported it as a capture to make themselves look better. Roger had come down with a terminal illness 4 years before his execution. This is when they recruited Crocus to accompany them on the last few years of the journey to help Roger with his pain, prolonging his life. They conquered the Grand Line, then Roger turned himself in. Rayleigh didn't intend the execution, but Roger's message served as an inspiration to a whole new generation of pirates, as opposed to a warning like the government intended. Rayleigh tells that Shanks is one of the people who was inspired, as he and Buggy were also part of Roger's crew, which also surprises Luffy. Shanks told Rayleigh that he had given his hat to a kid that was saying the same things that Roger would say. Meanwhile, Kizaru arrives at Sabaody. Okay, so this one gives us some very interesting details about the Roger Pirates.
The lore drop.
The lore drop. Rayleigh connecting some dots.
Mhm.
Sean, do you want to start us off on this one?
Yeah. I don't want to I feel like I'm always hey, notice this, remember this detail from the One Piece live action, but it's something that I like when new information comes into this that I can, because it was another, I don't know. The fact that Roger is afflicted with a terminal illness. If you rewatch that opening scene in the live action, I think they really get that across well with how haggard he looks. He looks like he's just like, oh, like his eyes are bloodshot, his face is greasy. He is not in feeling good. He is not in good shape. I think that's really good.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because the way I had just kind of read it was like they were just showing he's like a dirty pirate. And they're just kind of showing like he's.
There could be that too,
that
they just kept him in the dungeon. But I think it's cool to be like, well, maybe it's partially because he's dying already.
Oh, but yeah, that's a good layer and attention detail that they probably did take into account. So that's actually a really interesting point.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember it being pointed out to me a while back, but I've forgotten until now. So thank you for the reminder.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a crazy. It's weird though that we go from this like crazy action to the rest of them chilling in the bar and just like,
right?
Hey, what was Roger like? Meanwhile, Kuma and the others are just like explosions outside.
A fight that they started and it just completely erupted into chaos, and then they're just like, "I'm hungry. Let's go grab a snack and catch up."
Hey, well, they had getaway drivers, so they were better prepared.
They were a bit more prepared.
That's true. That's true.
And a classic giant mouth Luffy. Just what? All the teeth, giant tongue the size of a pancake.
Yeah, it's like all new information to him.
Brooke hears about Crocus.
Yeah.
This really was perfect timing for Brooke to get introduced and join the crew.
Crocus,
right before they
you
get
did
there.
that for us.
Yeah.
It's also mentioned that Roger was born in the East Blue.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a translation thing here where they refer to Logtown as Roguetown. But like, yeah, he was executed in his hometown. But Roguetown is supposed to be Logtown. But it's like unclear. Like, I was trying to find out more about this because I don't know when they changed it or why they changed it, or if it's just like interchangeable or like they just weren't consistent. But like, yeah, I don't know why they change it from Logtown to Roguetown.
I mean, I think Roguetown sounds cooler, and I have always felt that way, but I've accepted that that's not the accepted translation, so I don't know either.
Well, there was always the explanation was like, it's like the beginning and the end. So it's like prologue, epilogue.
Prologue, I know. It works too, but Roguetown just like it's snappier. It's snappier.
I accept both. I'm down for either, because I think for me the best part is that both have different meanings that apply equally. So
yeah, I'm just curious as to what's the intended.
It feels like it was just a mix-up. I don't know, but
yeah. But going back to Caracas, because Usopp asks like, what, like, wasn't he at the Cape 50 years ago? So it seems like he actually taken a break, because Laboon would have been left alone, which I think is odd. That like if he was taking care of Laboon, maybe like Laboon's situation didn't seem as bad, but he seemed to have left Laboon for these few years. I don't know if there was somebody else that would take care of Laboon during that time, but this would mean that he would have had to have left Laboon during that time period to be on Roger's crew.
Mm-hmm. Or Laboon knows what the One Piece is.
No, Laboon had to stay behind in case his friends came back, so he couldn't leave the Cape.
Yeah.
I just love like the overall vibe of this conversation, where it's just like the way that Rayleigh is talking about all these things. Like it really sounds like grand. Like the way that they're even like not acknowledging it, it's like really cool hearing it firsthand from somebody who was there. And I kind of feel like we're also almost like in the room with them in that same kind of situation. It's like, oh yeah, like we're hearing directly from this guy who is like the right-hand man of the King of the Pirates. So it's like hard to get any closer to the source than this guy.
Have we seen Roger's face fully drawn before? Like without the shadows that are in chapter 1?
I don't
Definitely not
so.
often if we have. It's definitely a rarity, I think.
I'm wondering if this might be the...
I don't know, yeah.
It might be.
Maybe it might be the first time,
It might
yeah.
be.
Because it feels significant to me.
It did feel different to me as well.
I kind of think it if it is, I hope it is. I don't know, it feels appropriate because it's like we're learning he's been like the legend for so long, and now it's more learning about the man, the actual the truth behind the legend. When he's in the shadow, he's just the mythical figure. Now Rayleigh's like, no, he was a human and he was dying, and he wasn't in like there's this, he wasn't this like larger than life figure. I mean, he was in a way, but there's it wasn't that simple. Nothing's ever that simple.
Mm-hmm.
So this is some really cool information though to get. I feel like it kind of, like you said, humanizes Roger, but also like tells a lot about his character. Like, you know, he's dying and he ends up turning himself in and is publicly executed. But then in doing so, in making that decision to kind of go out in that fashion, he reignites like the age of the pirates, which is like, that's what the King of the Pirates would do. Like, that's such a King of the Pirates move or like play, you know, like, it's kind of just interesting getting, you know, getting this insider information that he wasn't captured, that he made this decision and wanted to make this impact. It wasn't like he was captured and said this out of, you know, retaliation against the Marines. It was more like his choice.
Yeah, he wasn't bested.
How he wanted to do it, right? He wasn't bested and yelling out in anger. He was being the King of the Pirates.
Yeah, so it's like the Navy wasn't good enough to actually like overpower him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and this also does make me think back of like Kirillich's words too, like how like somebody doesn't die just because they die as a person. Like they can live like beyond death in a way if the people keep them living. So in this way, Roger has exceeded like just his life. It's been like he's become like something larger than life, and like he's become this legend too. But like this is something that it's not clear if this was his intention, but it does seem like he was trying to mess with like the world government and challenge like a generation of people to go find this treasure. So it does seem like there was some level of intent there, and to turn himself in and then make the statement, that seems very intentional. It's just very interesting that like he's able to live on in this way and become a bigger figure because the government killed him and executed him. It made him a bigger figure than he would have if he just like passed away like off peacefully, like quietly. Nobody even knew what happened.
It makes him a legend, and it also makes him a legend in like in a physical sense with the One Piece. Like it's like a living legend as well. Like he's also living through the One Piece.
It's also a good point. Yeah.
Also, we got to mention Kizaru's amazing entrance. Like such a good entrance.
Talk about a cannonball dive.
Yeah. Talk about arriving in style. Like, damn.
Yeah. So this is our first real look at Kizaru. We briefly saw him like previously, like off to the side, but like, kind of off screen. But like now we're actually kind of getting a silhouette and like a sense of like his like personality almost, and like what's capable of like riding on a cannonball is pretty crazy. So and he arrives at the bang.
Yep.
This is Kizaru. I'm here. Respond, please, accordingly. He's just so lackadaisical. It's great.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that.
But I did also want to kind of go back to the conversation with Rayleigh, because we also have more information to where he talked about how he met Hachi. So it seems like 2 years after Roger was executed, he said that Hachi saved his life, which is interesting. Somebody as powerful as Rayleigh got saved by Hachi. But then during the conversation, so he said after that, like, we were really close until he joined the Sun Pirates. And then it's unclear who's saying it, but somebody says, "Don't you mean Arlong?"
Oh, that was this chapter?
Yeah.
Right. I also caught on that because it was like that would explain the tattoo on Hachi as well, the Sun Pirates.
So that's a possibility. That's a good possibility that indicates that he was part of the Sun Pirates.
It's funny that got mentioned in this volume, because I feel like we were having that conversation last volume.
Yeah.
About the tattoos and whether they're a part of a pirate gang. So.
Yeah, because he was covering up the tattoo before.
Right.
And we saw other people have the same tattoo, the other fishmen.
Yep. Interesting.
So yeah, it seems that Hachi was actually part of a different crew before the Arlong Pirates. So yeah, that was a little detail I thought was worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Also on the same page, it's funny because Brooke says, "I think there's a rookie by the name of Gold Roger, or maybe not." So when Brooke was a pirate, like around that time, Roger probably was getting started out as well. So,
and then he immediately says, "Boiled beans."
Yeah, so this is a very fun chapter. There's a lot of nice information that fleshes out a lot of these details for us, and also we get a little bit more of Roger's personality in a sense too, because we have this whole flashback where Shank says that Luffy was saying the same types of things that Roger was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So there seems to be some kind of like, because Crocs had mentioned that Luffy reminded him of Roger in a way. So Shanks also seems to like make a connection with Luffy and Roger. So it's interesting that a few people are kind of getting the same kind of sense from Luffy.
It was mentioned at Sky Island as well.
Oh, was it Gone For?
Wasn't it? Was it? I think it was Gone For.
Yeah.
As they were like leaving, they had just read the poneglyph and they're
I forgot about that.
He remembered like when Roger had visited Sky Island.
Yeah.
The similarities. Definitely not the first time. I think it's been mentioned many times now.
Yeah. So I think that's a cool detail.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have any other thoughts on this one?
That's it.
Okay. Moving on to chapter 507. Kizaru arrives. During their chat, Rayleigh tells them that he will handle the coding on the house. Curious, Robin asks about the Will of D, how Roger could read the poneglyphs, and what happened during the Void Century. Rayleigh admits they do know, but they and the people of Ohara were too hasty. He tells her that even if he explained everything, there's nothing they can do about it now. He suggests that she take things at their own pace to come up with their own conclusion and see the world for herself. She decides that she'll take this advice and declines to hear what he knows. He does elaborate that Roger couldn't read the poneglyphs, but he could hear the voice of all things. Usopp is curious about the One Piece and asks if it's at the end of the Grand Line. Before Rayleigh can answer, Luffy shouts that he doesn't want to know. If Rayleigh tells him anything about it right now, he would quit being a pirate. Rayleigh asks Luffy if he thinks he can conquer the oceans, but Luffy says he doesn't want to conquer anything, declaring that the Pirate King is one who is the most free. Rayleigh and Shaggy smile. Rayleigh says it'll take 3 full days to kill the ship, but the Strats will need to be careful, as there is an admiral that'll be after them. Shaggy gives each of them a part of Rayleigh's Weaver card, so they'll be able to meet up at the ship once he's done. Elsewhere, Kizaru has started fighting with pirates and is trying to find his subordinate, Sentomaru. He confronts Hawkins. The Strats have left Shaggy's and are confronted by a figure. Okay, so I think this is also another good chapter. Some really nice interactions here. All right, so Cody, how about we start with you on this one?
Oh man, this was. I love the lore in One Piece. Every single time we get even the tiniest breadcrumb of it, and Rayleigh could have just opened up the bakery for us, but he. I think there's just so much to glean from this. There are probably layers to it that even being caught up are gonna gain significance as time goes on. But the biggest thing to me is when he says, the answer you will arrive at may be different from ours, even after you see the world in its entirety at your own pace. No idea what he's trying to say by that. Even now, I'm like, now I'm going like, could it be that? But I'm not confident at all. All I know is that, like, in, I don't know, 4-ish years, maybe, opinions may vary on the estimate, but I think that this speech is going to be so pivotal when we get to the end of the story. But it does also just, I think it also serves Luffy's outburst against Usopp in that it does call to attention the fact that the One Piece is not the friends you made along the way, but the adventure that you as a person take in your life to follow your dreams and get there is the most important thing. Which is one of the things that has always stuck with me about One Piece, and one of the many things, but one of the biggest things about why it's just my ride or die when it comes to any story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is such a great chapter. First of all, I love Robin standing up to ask the big questions here. And then really like has the answers, but is like he has the answers, but he's like, we found our answer and look where that got us, pretty much. It's like, maybe you can follow the same path we found and come to your own conclusions and find a better solution kind of answer. And I think this is amazing because he has answers. He could tell Robin everything that he has learned up to this point. And Robin has a thirst for knowledge, and this is what she's been pursuing the whole time. It's why she joined the Straw Hats in the first place. And it's like right at her fingertips. And in this moment, she turns it down and she's like, you know what? Like the way I interpreted it was like, I do have confidence in us finding the answer. Like I have confidence in my crew. I have confidence in the people around me that we're going to travel this together and we're going to come to our conclusions, and perhaps we can, find our own answers that mean something to us. And it's just really powerful knowing Robin's character and knowing how pivotal she is in this story, to see it and to see her turn down knowledge in this chapter. It reminds me of kind of last volume when Nami was like saying that they've spent all their money to save their friends, and it's kind of like these moments where these characters are kind of going against what seemed like pivotal, like character moments for them, I think it's kind of showing that these characters are changing because of their getting to know each other and kind of having kind of growing as individuals, like within the crew, I think they've changed from joining this crew. Like, I think that they've know what true friendship is. They have surrounded themselves with people that they trust and are excited to be on this adventure on, and are willing to sacrifice some of their goals or like their morals to accommodate the crew.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I honestly didn't look at it that way until you mentioned it that way. Like, that's like such a good point, because Robin's whole goal is to learn about the Void Century. Like, that's like what she wants to know about. That's like part of the reason why she's on this journey. And the fact that she has the restraint to not find the answer that she's been seeking, because she wants to go on this journey with her friends. Like, after the events of like Ansobi and getting to know the Straw Hats, like the fact that Robin is committing to this journey with her friends, in order to find out this information, that speaks like volumes. That's like, it says so much about her character, who was going from like ship to ship, who like was kind of like doing things just to get by on her own. now she's at a point where she can make that decision to say, I'm not going to end my journey here. Like I could end my journey here and like this could answer all my questions and like, but like, it's not gonna be satisfying for me because like of the way I'm getting that information and I'm not doing it with my friends. So yeah, I think that's really important for Robin's character from like where we've seen her like start to where she is now. The fact that she's willingly making this decision to go on this journey with her friends. I think that just says so much about her character in this decision based on this conversation.
And Evan, I think you hit the nail on the head here. And so I think this even connects to Zoro and Kuma at the end of Filler Bark. The fact that Zoro has always been, the minute that I have to put my dream on hold, I'm going to make you commit harakiri. But then Zoro's just willing to die for Luffy. I think it's that was the beginning of this domino effect of the Straw Hats doing exactly what you've just outlined and made me realize is even more prevalent than I thought it was.
Yeah.
They're family. Yay. Oh, I love them. I think even like when so I was like, okay, so we just meet you at this tree. And Sanji's like, wait, you're saying that? And Chopper says, no, well, it's okay. So Zoro, the way a Vivicar works, I know how it works. They've gotten to know this about Zoro. They know his little eccentricities. They know it's something they can poke fun at. They've built these relationships up. They've become a family.
Yeah.
And it's just it just feels in this volume that just feels so cemented.
Yeah, they've definitely come a long way together.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's interesting. So Rayleigh, even though Rayleigh decides, I like that Rayleigh gives Robin the option to give this information. He's like, you sure you want to know this? And, he respects that decision. But he does clarify that Roger couldn't actually read the poneglyphs. So we know that they had left a message in like Skypiea, but like Roger seems to be able to communicate with the poneglyphs in a very different way than Robin is, because Robin can just read the script. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very interesting because he says that the reason was that Roger could hear the voice of all things. So I think that's something that's like a special thing about Roger, and it's very interesting, but we don't get a lot of details as to like what that really means.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful line, and I'm sure that's going to make more sense to us in the future. Like knowing Oda, like I feel like that's going to come back because we don't really know much about Roger's power or like how he became the pirate king.
Right.
So I don't know if they're alluding to a literal like devil fruit power here, or if they're just alluding to him just kind of being able to, on more of like a metaphorical plane where he's just like able to understand people and understand things on a deeper level than other people, which is something we've said about Luffy multiple times, like Luffy's judgment of character and being able to see the good in people and bring people together, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And
bring the best out of people, I think, as well.
Yeah, and speaking of Luffy, Sean, did you want to speak on this here with the conversation about the One Piece?
Yeah, it's so like it makes sense completely in terms of like this is if you put yourself in Luffy's shoes, you get it. But then there's some part of the back of my mind of just like, no, just tell me everything right now. Tell me everything right now. Tell me all the answers. And like, end the series right now. And it's just what's the One Piece? What's the thing? What's the thing? What happened 700 years ago? And all of it. But then you're like, no, we can't do that. But it's funny it's funny to know that just like we're sitting in a room right now with the closest thing we have to the author just being like as an insert of just like, I know all the answers. I literally know everything. And I could tell you it all right now if you wanna. But then he just like yeah. Because I know, because like say there's a universe where Oda's like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna tell you everything right now. That would suck. That would be incredibly weird. So it was never gonna happen. But some infinitesimal part of me is just like, but just tell me everything right now, though.
Yeah, it's like the universe where Oda got the message like the week before. Oda,
Yeah.
One Piece has been canceled. You need to wrap this up real quick.
Yeah. Well, like Rayleigh just opens a portal to Laugh Tale, and they just go over there, and they're just like,
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard of
Blue
the
now.
series Red Hood, like the
Red
Hunter's
Hood
Guild.
series?
No, so there was like a manga that was.
oh God, that was so awful.
Yeah,
I heard it was so good.
It
I was
good,
really
and
enjoying
then
it.
It got canceled, and they had to wrap it up in 2 chapters. And it
yeah.
was
So
like,
basically,
so
basically
long.
that happened with that series where they had to
Yeah.
like lore dump everything and just end it like way in advance. It was like as if like Sean was saying, if like Oda was just like, yep, here's everything. So that's pretty much what that series had to do, which is very disappointing.
Yeah, it's
I think it was like one of the assistants for My Hero Academia.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really cool
series.
art style. It was
Yeah, very unfortunate.
I heard Bleach basically got like a slightly less abbreviated version of that. Like
Bleach.
they said to Kuma, hey, you got 3-4 chapters left to finish up, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I guess, okay, Final Fight's getting a little accelerated here. Okay.
Yeah,
I've
Bleach
heard
is very
differing
abrupt
things
too.
about Bleach. I definitely was abrupt, but I heard some people say no, that's what he wanted to do. And it's weird. It's all weird. Manga's weird. The production of manga is weird, and shit goes down that we'll never really know about.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the way he intended to end the series because it was just like, yeah, that one was very abrupt.
I've heard differing things.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll find out. At least I hope that 1,000-Year Blood War will give us a more concrete picture of whether that's the case, because I know he's had more involvement with this than he has with previous anime adaptations. So like, if there's more of the story, it'd be cool if he gets to take this. When are we starting our Bleach podcast?
we'll have to give that one a few years.
Yeah.
Dope. I will say there's what you mentioned with Red Hood. I'm actually really worried about with like one manga I'm reading in Jump right now. It's called Green Greens. It's about golf and being good at things and what it means to like. Highly recommend to anyone listening.
I've read the first 20 chapters or so.
Dude, it's so good. It's on the bottom of the rankings right now, and I don't
Oh,
understand.
no.
They don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Stupid teenagers.
Yeah.
See, that's why I'm hesitant to like try out a new manga because of Red Hood. Like I've been burned before, so I'm like, yeah. So I'll wait till they have like a few hundred chapters in before I hop.
I'm just.
But anyway, yeah,
back
on
bus
track
for me.
There you go.
But how? Okay, so coming back to the discussion we're having, coming back to something Sean said, if Oda just like made like a book that said, okay, here's what the One Piece is, here's Roger's deal, here's what the Void Century is, here's the answer to, here's what devil fruits are, here's the answer to every question. How long could you stop yourself for opening it up? How long? Because I know we all want to say I'd be able to wait. I know,
I
I don't think I. You what?
I'll quit. Yeah. I'll quit being a pirate.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, even theoretically, if I did that, if I had if I have the self control to not do that, the internet exists. So they're just going to spam it in every comment from here to the end of days.
I would avoid it like the plague. I would like delete Facebook. I would like.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah, that's why I don't watch. Really it's why I don't watch trailers or spoilers for movies.
Me too. Yep.
I'd rather.
I don't watch trailers.
Time. I love trailers too much. I'll never stop. I don't watch. I cut myself off after like 2 trailers usually. Sometimes there'll be a movie that's like, and here's the final ultra super trailer that's like 3 minutes long. I'm like, no. The teaser and like the main is fine, and then I'll stop. But there's ones where they're like, we're just going to give you, here's the first 5 minutes. So like, why would I want to see that? I don't see the first 5 minutes. Like there's a line. There's a line.
Here's the entire movie sped up 2 times.
Honestly, though, that's what a lot of trailers are. It's like,
that's TV too much. But have you guys ever seen like the Onion video where they have like the Iron Man trailer and they would talk about like do you think the movie is gonna be as good as the trailer? Like I don't know if it's gonna live up to the expectations. People are really a fan of the trailer.
That was an old school Onion.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm the kind of person that like, even as like a kid, if like I was like told I could open my Christmas presents like early, I'd be like, no, I'm gonna wait till Christmas.
Aww.
So,
That's so no. That's just really wholesome, and I love that.
yeah,
That's just really wonderful.
yeah. For me, like it's all about like how the story is being told. I like to see movies and not know anything about the movie at all, and then go in and let the movie tell me what the movie's about instead of like going in and being like knowing what the movie's about. Because like the whole time you're thinking like, okay, I'm waiting for this thing to happen because I know the premise of the movie. So I'd rather be like pleasantly surprised or even like disappointed. Like I'm usually not disappointed because I'm usually like just enjoying what's being presented to me. So yeah, if I was given the answers to One Piece, like the option to know everything right now, I would say no. Like I'm just gonna read the story and enjoy it the way it was meant to be told.
I'm experiencing that currently.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're trying to do for you. Yeah.
And so yeah, thankfully I have you guys, and you guys have been able to like guide me on a spoiler-free adventure through One Piece. But it is hard. It's really hard to avoid spoilers, like because I do read a lot of manga, I do watch a lot of anime, so I'm in those spheres, and I'm getting a lot of advertisement and media from there. So it's hard to avoid, but I'm doing my best, and I'm glad that I've been majority spoiler free to this point.
Yeah, unfortunately now is probably like the hardest time to avoid spoilers for One Piece because it's just like how like prevalent the series has become. Mm-hmm. Like a few years ago, it would have been like way easier, but like One Piece has just like really like exploded in the United States, which is great. But yeah, it just does make it harder to get into the series and not be exposed to anything. So we're trying our best, but there's only so much we can do.
I think it's like the way social media works too. Like the minute you say in your phone microphone, I like One Piece, everything. You're just blowing up with spoilers.
Yeah. Or if you talk about it for like 2 to 3 hours every single week with your friends.
Yeah, even my fiance.
Targeted ads, man. It's targeted ads.
Yeah, even my fiance, like she'll like start seeing like a bunch of like One Piece stuff come up like on like her like Instagram. Like so like she'll like show me stuff, but like it's like even I'm getting stuff targeted to me for One Piece now.
Yep. They're trying to make you a fan, Joel. Maybe one day you will be. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, getting back on track. So yeah, I do really love this exchange and Luffy being this committed to the journey where he would straight up quit being a pirate if like he finds out anything. This is essentially me, where like I'm like don't tell me anything. I don't need to know anything about this. Like I want to just have like the journey. So yeah, Luffy is like ready to stop being a pirate if like Rayleigh tells him like that the One Piece is like waiting for them at the end of the Grand Line. Because like Luffy's all about the adventure, and I think this is like just such a perfect moment to show Luffy as a character and like what's important to him. Because he wants to have fun, but he's like, it's not fun if I get spoilers. It's gonna ruin the story for me.
Yep.
And then Usopp has like backtrack, be like, no, I don't want to know anything either. I was just kidding. Like that was a joke. I'll die if I hear anything about One Piece. So. Which I also have that disease too. So
it's contagious. You gave it to me. No, I care so much about people getting more. I care so much more about like potentially spoiling people like after starting this podcast and seeing Evan's journey with it firsthand. And like now, I'm starting giving people like, wait, okay. I'm just gonna hold my tongue for a second there. You want to have the card game? Hold on, let me put these 3 decks away in a closet. Just it's yeah. You've opened my ass up to it.
Yeah.
But then Luffy has like. Which is one of the most Luffy lines ever. I'm not going to conquer anything. The person who's most free, that's the Pirate King.
That's all he wants.
That's all he wants.
Makes Rayleigh smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least take notice.
Yeah. And then Shaq is like, I'm more of a fan of you now too. So yeah, like Luffy's like just really like showing why they want to root for him and just like his spirit and like how much like they want him to succeed now, like after meeting him in person and seeing what kind of person he is. It's like, yeah, this is exactly like the kind of person that we want to root for.
Yeah.
It's very, very heartwarming.
Yeah, Rayleigh's approval here almost feels like Roger's approval too.
Yeah.
Know? Like they've been hinting at it through this whole series now, like how similar these two people are, and how Luffy seems to be following in his footsteps. So it's cool to keep getting those affirmations.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm hearing you say you want to join up at a certain time of all people. Sanji to Zoro about like, let's join up when the work is done. Like, yeah, because you'll find your way to the meetup place.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sure.
You go to a theme park with Zoro and be like, okay, if any of us can't get in contact with each other, we meet back up at the carousel. And Zoro's like halfway at the roller coaster at the car end of the park. They told us to meet up. I don't know.
Hey, let's go to the Hall of Mirrors. No.
Yeah. So they're gonna have their work cut out for them, trying to not get caught for the next few days. Because now we see in action, we actually get to see Kizaru in full. So now we get to see the third admiral.
Yep.
He's so chill, but he does the most at the same time.
Not the only chill admiral.
Oh, okay.
They're pretty laid back dudes so far.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we get to see a Kizaru kick, which is pretty devastating.
Yeah, he like destroys an entire tree. Causes like a massive blast. But yeah, you can definitely tell like he seems very formidable.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. But that kind of power, it's also just effortless for him.
Definitely.
Yeah. I was very curious to see what sort of power it was, or what kind of dragon fruit it is, or devil fruit.
The dragon fruits.
Dragon fruit.
The rum fruit. The Bacardi know me.
Right, you collect the 7 dragon fruits and then
Yeah.
make a salad and your wishes are granted, or something like that.
And let's just know that no spoilers.
Right, sorry.
Instead of Shenron, it's just the Wiggles. Because your fruit salad was so yummy. Sorry, I'm losing it.
Yeah, we're getting unhinged here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just see that Kizaru is causing a commotion. The supernovas are trying to panic. We start to see some of the Navy people are turned to kids and turned to like really old people.
Oh yeah.
So, Evan, do you know what's going on with that?
Well, we have seen somebody else do this bit last volume, so I would assume that Bonnie's got something to do with it. Is it Jewelry Bonnie? That's her name, Jewelry Bonnie?
Yeah, Jewelry Bonnie. Yeah, so we see the next page, like, oh, there she is. She's doing it, and she's like laughing about it. So yeah, so it seems like she's able to manipulate ages because we've seen her manipulate her own age. So yeah, now she's doing it to like other people too. So
is that why she's a glutton and she can eat all the time? Because she can just like make herself instantly younger?
the possibility.
I don't know. Because she's eating. She's eating in like every shot where she has a hand free. She's eating.
That's something.
Yeah,
good for her.
Yeah, good for her. She might give Luffy a run for his money in an eating competition.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end, the Thrats are confronted by somebody, and Luffy's like, "Who are you?" So, I'm not sure who it is. Hey, you guys good to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Good to go.
Okay, moving on to CP9's Independent Report, Volume 16. Fun bowling excursion. The CP9 agents decide to have some fun bowling. Continuing on with that downtime.
I just noticed they're size 100 bowling balls.
Oh god.
Or like 100-pound bowling balls. That's just very silly.
How bowling works.
Looks
like they could have made
a lot.
Looks like they could have raised their money in a bowling competition.
And somehow she makes like the pins explode. So
and they're all just so happy about it. She's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
it's like we're not paying for that. Okay, let's get into the chapter. Chapter 508, Island of Carnage. Capone fights off the Navy using the power of his devil fruit, which allows him to store an army inside his body. Rouge finds himself also face to face with Kuma. As Hawkins reads his cards, Kizaru asks if he's seen Sentomaru. Kizaru decides he has time to handle Hawkins as he has a bounty and attacks him. Elsewhere, other pirates begin to collapse. Kizaru is surprised to see Hawkins is unharmed. Two strawmen emerge from Hawkins' arm and fall to the ground. Rouge is knocked into their battleground, and Drake enters as well, fighting Kuma as the Pooh watches on. At Grove 12, the Strats are also face to face with Kuma, who everyone recognizes from Throw a Bark except for Luffy. They expect a shockwave from his hand, but are surprised that he shoots a beam instead. They team up and fight back, though Zoro notes something feels different about him from last time. On Grove 36, Sentomaru thinks to himself that Kizaru's ship should have arrived by now, so strange that he hasn't contacted him yet. So Evan, what do you make of all these people fighting Kuma seemingly at the same time in different places? Like, what were you thinking at this time?
I think I had put it together at this point as soon as you started seeing multiple battles happening at the same time, because we did get a reveal in the last volume that I think kind of gave this away. Should I not reveal that yet, or?
I think we'll get into the next chapter, but I think we can mention it here.
Yeah, so we know that Kuma is a cyborg that was made by the world government and had a name, like a pacifista was the name of said cyborg. And so I think at this point I'd put it together that there were multiple cyborgs. But these seem to be clones or different versions of the Kuma that we had met at Ennis Lobby.
Yeah, so we know there's something up here. It's not entirely clear, but like you said, we're given information that Kuma was part of the pacifist program that Vegapunk was working on, and yeah, so like it wasn't explicitly clear or stated here at this point, but we are starting to see that like there's multiple Kumas showing up, and I think that's what Oda was clearly trying to establish here, is that like there's a bunch of different Kumas that people are fighting. So yeah, it's just like previously during the summaries, it was just like I was just mentioning it as Kuma because that's all we had at that point. But now we know retroactively that they were fighting the pacifistas. But now we're actually seeing what the pacifistas are, because we only heard like what they were. We didn't really have like a full detail, but yeah, it looks like they're able to replicate Kuma in some way and use him as like a basis for these pacifistas.
Pretty devastating. Wait, we totally glazed over Gang's ability.
What?
Okay.
Just when you thought, okay, when I saw Law's ability, I was like, this might be the weirdest thing yet. And then, alas, 2 chapters later, we get Gang Capone, who easily has the weirdest ability that we've seen in One Piece so far. Second, maybe only, or I think, was it, who is the pasta coming out of the
Nose hair guy?
Wanze.
Yeah.
Wanze's up there. Wanze is up there, but I think
I would also say
the
what's
weirdest.
I would also say what's his nuts from Baroque Works with the dog baseball thing.
Mr. Four.
Mr.
Yeah.
Four and the dog.
Well, to clarify, yeah, they didn't have double fruits. But are you just saying that they're the weirdest characters or the weirdest double fruits?
The weirdest abilities, powers,
Weirdest
whatever, devil
fruit
fruit or
abilities.
not.
Fighting
Okay,
style.
If we're
They're
saying
up there.
devil fruit specifically, then yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So Wanze also didn't have a double fruit. He was just weird.
It's just weird.
You just watched a lot of Bobobo. It's like let me put a twist on that.
Now, I have so many questions about Gang's ability. Like, does his body produce the people? Do the people are are those his crewmates that have entered his body and are manning his body? I don't know. I had a lot of questions about this one.
Yeah. So I think that's it. So it's his crew that he can kind of store in his body. So the way that it's projected on this page here, so it looks like there's like kind of like a force field kind of like around him.
Yeah.
So like we see like the cannonball like is small. It's shot from inside his body. When it exits the force field, it becomes large. So it's like when things enter that force field area, he can shrink it down, take a small version and store it within himself.
So it goes the other way. So this cavalry is going to ride back into his chest when they're done attacking.
Yeah, so they could go back into his area and shrink back down so he can keep him in his body. So he could like have like his whole crew like with him, and he just has to get out himself. He doesn't have to worry about like taking care of like 100 different people like overrunning at the same time. He's like, all right, everybody, get inside. We're out of here.
That is bonkers.
It's pretty bonkers.
And now I'm wondering if there will be a chapter where we enter Gang Capone's body, and there's like it's like a dungeon. You know, you gotta work your way up to his like brain and like shut him down or something. Like
Magic School Bus.
Yeah,
shrink down,
right?
go Capone's body.
Usopp, I knew we should have stayed on the sunny today.
Or a Capone's Inside Story.
Yep.
Like Bowser's Inside Story.
Anatomy Park.
Anatomy Park.
I love Big Mouth.
Yeah. I think this might be the weirdest ability yet.
That's a contender.
Mm-hmm.
He also similar to Law, has kind of like a quote unquote room that his is just super close to his body, but like he controls, has like control within his room, if that's the term we're going to use.
His domain.
His domain.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, it's interesting getting to see these captain abilities.
Yeah.
And Admiral abilities. I mean, damn. And Kuma 2.0 abilities.
Yeah, because we also start to see a little bit of Hawkins here.
Yeah.
I don't think we see his full powers here yet.
We just see him kind of reading the cards.
Yeah, that's that seems to be different than his actual Devil Fruit. So we do see that he basically takes a blast from Kizaru, like full on. And then we see, instead of Hawkins actually being damaged, we see other pirates take the damage instead. So like he like redirected the damage to other people. And then we see he has like these little straw men that come out of his arms, and then they like fall to the ground. So
I forgot we saw this.
Yeah, so Evan, do you have a sense for like how Hawkins' ability is working here?
Not entirely, but he says only having 10 against an admiral can feel very unnerving. Almost feels like 10 lives, or like they're like kind of like voodoo dolls or something like that. Like I haven't really figured it out yet. It's not super clear.
It's definitely giving me voodoo doll energy.
Yeah, like voodoo doll. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's the implication here, because I think that was like what was being illustrated was like the other people were taking the damages, and then that used up like the voodoo dolls that he had. So yeah, so I think he was saying he only had 10 like straw men dolls, voodoo dolls, with him. So but yeah, so he can have those take the damage instead. So that's also like it seems like he maybe like made dolls out of like 2 random people that he found on Sabaody earlier, and like they're just like poor victims here. That, well, I mean, I don't know if they're like innocent or not, but like they weren't actually playing the admiral, and they just were doing their own thing. And all of a sudden, they like passed out.
Honestly, if Hawkins wants to stock up on voodoo doll people in the slaving auction area, I'm cool with that. Like, frankly,
Give
good
him a new
place.
job, you know?
Yeah.
But we're also kind of getting a sense of like Borsellino, his devil fruit too.
Do they call him Borsellino? I didn't even.
Yeah,
Someone does.
so his first,
Still a
his
title
like
card.
his text box, yeah.
Oh, yes, right. Okay.
So his admiral code name is Kizaru, but his real name is Borsellino.
Yeah. Ever been kicked at the speed of light?
Such a cool shot following that phrase, like the shoe with the kind of, it looks like it's like dripping and glowing.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he seems to be able to move with the speed of light.
Yeah.
Do y'all like do y'all feel the speed of the kick in like the way these panels are structured? Because I'm just still struck by like how swift it like just feels as I'm reading it. Like specifically between like the panel where you see the foot heading toward Hawkins' face, him noticing, and then just immediately him going in there.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just something about panel structuring that like is enhancing that so deliberately that I can't quite put my finger on.
I think just in general, like I feel like Kizaru has just seemed like he's been just like a force of destruction. It's like almost like you can't even tell like what's happening, just because like stuff is just like exploding around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the explosion's happening and he's just walking casually, like he already delivered the blow and the explosion's happening almost after the fact.
Also, the highlighting is just incredible. And the shadows that come from it.
Yeah, really cool effect there.
Love the overlay.
It's across the whole volume, like that. There's been a lot of action in this volume, like a lot. Yeah, and it's just been super dynamic. The explosions, the laser blasts, all the devil fruit abilities. Like this has really been an action-packed volume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just like so many new things that are being like introduced to us here.
Yeah,
It's like there's a lot to like process. And it's like hard to actually talk about everything too, because there's just like so much going on.
yeah, there's so much happening. And I also feel like I glaze over some of it because like I'm reading faster as well. Like through these action sequences, I think my eyes are just tracking faster to try to keep up with the pace of the story as well. I don't know if that's something you guys also experience, but
yeah. That's why I'm trying to like go back and point out like certain details that like
totally
might be like easier to miss. And we also get a little bit more from Arouge. It looks like he beefs up, but it's like unclear exactly what he was doing. But he just makes himself like Hulk up a little bit.
Hulked. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's unclear exactly what his deal is.
Right. He looks massive, but then in the next shot, he's standing next to Kuma, and they look like similar size.
Yeah.
Kuma is also huge.
Big boy.
Then at the end, we do see Kuma fighting the Straw Hats, and they do mention it's a beam. And based on the explosions, it looks very similar to Kizaru's.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's an interesting connection there. Yeah, because they were initially expecting a shockwave because, like, hey, this is Kuma, but then he does a different attack than what he was doing to them on Thoroughbark. So they're like, hey, something's weird about this guy. This isn't like last time.
Interesting. Almost as if the world government assigned pacifistas to admirals that had like similar abilities. Maybe.
It's a possibility.
Evan, I like seeing the theory brain emerge.
Honestly, I mean, I didn't even think about that until Joel kind of mentioned how their attacks are similar. I was like, oh yeah, they're trying to like harness this technology and make these war machines. So why not sculpt them after your, strongest admirals and your best warriors? I mean, then they literally look exactly like Kuma, who's like one of their top warriors. So
then we see this mysterious shadowy figure on the roof. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting like like a tricorn, like kind of like a hat, kind of like Drake or like Van Auger. Like I was expecting just like the Karen cut. I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it was quite a surprise for me.
Yeah, he cuts his own hair with his axe.
Yeah.
That's pretty baller. I'm not digging. I'm not knocking him.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect it.
That's actually the only reason for the axe, and it's also how he got the scar on his face. So
Exactly.
Haircut gone wrong.
just bringing it all together.
I'm seeing it.
Tried to do the mustache. Tried to shave the mustache as well, and got a little carried away.
I'll get you.
All right. Do you guys got anything else on this one?
Good to go.
All right, let's move on. CP9's Independent Report, Volume 17, Commotion in Town. Bruno notices some officers talking to people at the bowling alley. Yep, so something's
We have
going
the
on.
exclamation point.
Yep, the world government exclamation point.
Has it been in this cover story before now? This is my first time noticing it.
I don't think so. I think it's the first one.
I don't think so.
I wasn't starting to look out for those until like you brought them up in I think Gadatsu's cover story. I was like, oh shit. So now I'm feeling less out of it. Thanks, home.
I was trying to make sense of like the two people getting kicked out behind them, but I don't really know if there's a subplot there.
Yeah, it's not entirely clear. So it says commotion in town, so it sounds like something's happening. Some people, I don't know if like people came into the bowling alley and they saw the officers, or if the officers. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing in the bowling alley. If there's something going on outside.
Like I'd almost say it's like these two guys telling them, "Hey, like something really bad's happening," but the officers look pissed at them. So I'm like, "What's the what?" I don't know.
Or were they bowling and they came in like, "Hey, officer, something's going on outside. You gotta check this out."
Yeah, it's like this is my lunch break.
Yeah, it seems like something's going on outside, and they came in and they're trying to get help. All right, but let's move on to chapter 509, Kizaru versus 4 captains. The Strats were able to defeat Kuma, but Zoro and Sanji explain this must be a different Kuma because his attacks are different and doesn't have the same paws on his hands. Rouge sends a Kuma he was fighting flying into a building, but is hit by a beam from another one. Drake remarks that they have the same beams as Kizaru. He is surprised that Vegapunk was able to match Kuma's body and Kizaru's attacks when making the pacifistas. Kizaru questions Drake that if he's here to gather information on the pacifistas since he has inside knowledge on them. Drake transforms using his ancient Zoan fruit and takes on the form of a dinosaur to fight the machine. Kizaru sends a Rouge flying while Hawkins takes on the form of a straw man, though he seems to be no match for the Admiral. Before Kizaru defeats Hawkins, Pooh interferes and uses his music powers to blast the Admiral. Okay, so here's the confirmation that the beams were the same as Kizaru's. So it seems that they were able to apply that to the pacifistas.
This Vegapunk guy must be very advanced.
Must be.
Right. Been hearing that name a lot.
What do you think of him, Evan?
I'm excited. That's been like one of the biggest name drops I think of this series so far. Like that name keeps getting dropped over and over and over, seemingly more and more frequently.
Yeah, so he's got his hands in this.
Yeah, maybe we'll see him soon.
Seems to be like the top mind.
Yeah.
So we've seen him turn a gun into a dog. Okay. And now he's got a robot that can shoot a light beam that another person can shoot because of a devil fruit. So something advanced is at play here.
Yeah.
This is cutting edge tech.
Or he's a devil fruit user as well and can like wapple this shit together where he just like eats things and spits out like or something like that.
Interesting.
Spits out like you're spitting out these theories. Let's go. Let's go. I love this. I love it. Theory man Evan, let's go. I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting. I just love tinfoil hat theories. It's like one of my favorite things in One Piece. It's oh my god, it gives me life.
But he seems to be like a household name. Like everyone seems to know who this guy is.
He's very renowned.
I also love the start of the chapter where they're arguing about the beam, and they're looking back like, "Hey, what are you doing? Playing dead." Everyone knows you're not dead. Which is just like perfect payoff for like a few chapters. It was like, "Oh, I'm afraid of robots or something." He's like, "I'm a little scared. I think I'll play dead." It's so silly and whimsical, even when shit's hitting the fan. I love it.
But it is like taking like everything they have to take on this one pacifista.
Mm-hmm.
So even with like Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, like all three of them had to like team up to finish him off. And after like the entire crew was like fighting him off. But they're not really sure exactly what they're fighting because like they're like, well, it doesn't seem like the same guy, so maybe they're twins or something.
Maybe.
And then this Rouge guy is he's got some sort of powers going on here. It's like he just gets buffer the more damage he takes.
Mm-hmm. And deals karmic punishment.
I didn't pick up on that. That's an interesting point because he just says, "I have to thank you for beating up on me."
Yeah.
Don't think I'm the same guy you were fighting before now. And it looks like he does buff up a little. And karmic punishment does imply like he's returning something like back. Like,
yep.
Like you hit me, now I'm gonna hit you back in like retaliation. So yeah, I didn't actually pick up on that. That's interesting because that's kind of give me like Saiyan vibes where it's like, yeah, I got stronger because you beat me up.
Yep. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
Unless it's a beam. The beam's hurt. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, except for the beam. We get to see a dinosaur Zoan type.
That's different, yeah.
Like what? Man, this volume's got it all.
Yeah, it really does, huh?
Pretty hyped about the dinosaur Zoan type. I hope this is not the last ancient Zoan type we get to see because this is pretty dope.
Yeah, so they say it's a rare ancient species of the Zoan type. So I think that would imply that there could be others.
Also makes sense of the name X Drake.
Oh, Drake,
in,
like kind of a dragon type thing.
Yeah. We also see a Pooh dropping a beat. He must have been recruited for Baroque Works.
Who's such a little shit?
Like it does seem like really silly the way he's like using his powers. It's like really funny. He's just like hitting like different parts of his face and his body to make all these different sounds, and then it seems to have some kind of like effect where he explodes on Kizaru.
Yeah, sharp sound waves.
It's almost like how did he find out about this? Because like, did he find out the effects of like whichever one he did to take Kizaru's arm off? I'm concerned for whoever was around him when he figured out that was a power of his, or is he programming them like a DJ? Because he is like spinning the vinyl. That's a terrible miming of it. But like, does he curate these, or is it just like it's a set? You do this, this happens, and he can't change it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's unclear. Like if it's like a certain sequence that is like building up, like to make this happen, or it's like the final, like when he hits like his chest and says "boom," to activate the boom. Like I don't know what the whole buildup is, or maybe he's having fun. He's just like, I'm just gonna do some little jams real quick before I actually do my attack. So yeah, it's unclear, but it's definitely interesting.
It is.
But the drop is devastating.
He drops the beat. And we also get more of Hawkins too. We get to see he takes on the demon face form, and his whole body turns into like the Scarecrow.
Sadly, we don't get to see much of what it was supposed to do, aside from giving cool nail fingers. Just Kizaru made rather light work of it.
But Kizaru does state that I don't know what kind of power you have, but your body's still intact. You don't seem to be a Logia type. So he's most likely Paramythia. And then his crew remarks that this is bad. He can't take any more damage or he'll really die. So yeah, it's like we were talking about before, it seems like he has multiple lives by using like the voodoo doll type things. So yeah, a lot of interesting devil fruit powers in this volume.
It kind of feels like this whole arc, it just caught me in my brain. Just like, in a lot of show, for anyone who reads, I think it's safe to say most of us here, all of us here, have read other shonen style manga. You have a big tournament arc when you want to introduce a bunch of new characters and a bunch of new powers. This is the closest we've gotten to Oda being like, we're going to do a tournament arc, but it's not a tournament. It's just we're going to go to this like central location that happens to introduce like 10 new characters and all their power sets and all their cool stuff. And it's still it accomplishes the same thing without having the traditional like, okay, these two fight, now these two fight, now these two fight.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's like interesting because we're not seeing like the main characters like involved with this. This is happening on the side of whatever's happening with the main characters.
Yeah.
This is just kind of like more for us. But like, yeah, so we see them taking on like an admiral. So we're getting a sense for like how strong the admiral is by taking on these other like crews who are also we know quite strong because they're like a peer with Luffy. But yeah, we're just seeing like how strong like Kizaru is in this case.
And I think the way that Shaki referenced it does kind of make it feel like a competition because she's like, all of you guys are converging, like all of the young talents are here in one place to see who's gonna, who they're all taking this new step into the new world, like who's gonna make it. You all have come from similar, trajectories to all come to this one place at the same time.
Yeah,
the young blood.
All right. Do you guys have anything else before we move on?
That's it.
That's all I got.
I'm good.
Okay, let's move on to CP9's Independent Report, Volume 18, Candy Pirates at the St. Poplar Port. The Candy Pirates land on St. Poplar. So this must be the commotion that's happening in town. But yeah, he is a weird man.
It's weird.
Okay, let's get into chapter 510, Straw Hat Pirates versus War Machine. As Kizaru's dismembered body falls, Apu admits that was probably not enough to defeat an admiral and takes off. Kizaru's body reforms from beams of light. He bounces a beam to where Apu is, appears above him, and kicks him through some buildings. He quickly defeats the other captains, and gets a call on a transponder signal on his wrist. He answers. It's Sentomaru, who figured that Kizaru was trying to use the wiretapping signal instead of the one for calls. Sentomaru says that Luffy, Law, and Kid are the ones to go after for attacking the Celestial Dragons. On Grove 12, Zoro is in bad shape and hasn't fully recovered from his last fight with Kuma. The entire crew works together and appear to defeat the Pacifista.
Can we just talk about how badass the Yada Sacred Mirror kick was?
Yeah, it was very badass. Also, Kizaru is light. Kizaru is light.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
Broken.
Yeah, broken. OP. These Logia types are getting out of control.
Yeah, like his body is like in pieces. And then he can just reform.
Yeah. Super powerful.
Yeah, so he is a Logia type. So we see that here.
Yeah.
It's just like so like chill about like, wow, that surprised me.
Spicy meatball.
So Kizaru and the other admirals are all based appearance-wise on Japanese actors that Oda has been a big fan of. But lately, I don't know if the sections of the fandom that Joel and Sean interact with have been saying this, but I, in recent months, have heard a lot of comparisons between Kizaru and Adam Sandler.
Okay.
So anytime Kizaru talks like,
Oh
surprise me.
That's funny.
Well, I'm sitting for Netflix.
It's always I'm so conflicted because like he is a good dramatic actor, and I feel like he could bring a lot to it. And also, like I don't want A-listers in my show, you know. But I don't know. But like just every now and then I'll see Horsley reacts and was like, why am I hearing Adam Sandler's voice right now? I'm not. I don't know if I'm okay with this. I don't know. And now so I had to subject y'all to that too. We're in this together, homies.
I mean, I can see it. But yeah, it's not something that I had heard before, but I can see it now that you mention it.
Yeah, I can see it.
But yeah, like you said, though, they are directly based off of actual people. Because we had talked about this a little bit before in the past, how some people are based on like live people. But like, yeah, we have seen the actual actors that were referenced for these characters. So
I'm pulling up the name of Kizaru's right now. Kuniya Tanaka, and he did a lot of detective movies.
So yeah, so Kizaru is pretty much making quick work of these rookies here, and then before he finishes them off, he gets the call from Sentomaru, who's been like, where is this guy? Like, what's taking so long? He should have been here by now. So this whole time, like, he was using the wrong transponder snail. He's trying to talk into the wiretapping one, but he has another one that's supposed to be for like communications. So yeah, luckily Sentomaru calls him like, hey, like we have like specific targets we should be going after. Let's like get on track here, dude. So he's telling the Admiral like what's what. But like this guy's like so like goofy. He's like trying to talk to the wrong one this entire time. So like when he first landed, he's like, hello, this is Kizaru, I've arrived. Please respond accordingly. But he's talking to the wrong transponder snail. So he's essentially kind of just like doing like whatever for right now.
It's a fun Straw Hat combo sequence. All the Straw Hats working together. Combo moves. Everyone with their upgraded moves this time. Yeah, love it. Love to see it.
Yeah, it's like literally taking like everything they have to take on these pacifistas.
Yeah. Yeah, very formidable opponent for sure.
This is just one.
Save someone. Yeah. Just one. Especially like the Thunderlance tempo. And
yeah, it's cool seeing that again.
Mm-hmm.
It's always cool getting more Ashura.
And I like how Robin takes the hands and like smashes the pacifist in the head, makes the beam explode in his mouth.
Which is cool because they're arms made of arms. Like she did her like enlarged thing.
Yeah, she's like, this is a big guy, I gotta make the big arms.
Yeah. Oh, did we see her use her wings again earlier in this volume? I think we did.
Yeah, when she was diving into the auction house.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice
Love
that.
to see
Sorry,
it.
the
Love
employment
to see
office.
it. The employment office. Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean that's really all I had in this one.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
No.
Okay. Moving on to CP9's Independent Report, Volume 19, Messenger of Justice. Uchi defeats the captain of the Candy Pirates. Nope, put a quick stop to that.
Yeah.
Done and done.
He's like, he's not so weakened that he can't take on this lowly pirate dude.
Gotta pay off those medical bills somehow.
Okay, let's move on to chapter 511, Axe Carrying Sentomaru. The Strats try to catch their breath as they figure out what they were fighting. Frankie says he must be a cyborg that was made to look like Kuma. They notice he is marked PX4. Luffy wants to take a second to rest, but Sanji says they have to keep moving to avoid being captured. Sentomaru arrives with another pacifista. Realizing that they are in no shape to take on another one, the Strats decide to split up and run. Luffy tries to fight Sentomaru, but he is able to block his attacks and knocks him away. Zoro is attacked by a beam. Sentomaru tells Kizaru he is late. As Kizaru lifts a leg to defeat Zoro, the Struts attempt to fight the Admiral off, but all the attacks pass through him. Rayleigh arrives and stops the attack just in time. Okay,
What a
so yeah,
badass panel.
yeah,
I'll say it, but like so good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yeah, love that moment.
Especially after seeing how powerful Kizaru is at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's it's a like I don't know, compared I'll say Evan, what do you think is more powerful? Kizaru or I hate that I've forgotten his name, Ice Guy.
Aokiji?
Iceberg?
Aokiji, yeah. Ice
Hmm.
Guy. I didn't actually realize when I said that. Yeah. No, the guy who could could freeze like an entire chunk of ocean.
I don't know. I think that'd be an interesting matchup.
It would.
But
The power scaling.
No,
it's
Evan,
fun. They kind of have similar.
Don't go down this road.
Evan, don't go down this rabbit hole.
Don't power. They're toxic.
They kind of have similar demeanors. Like they both seem kind of like they both have like lazy justice. You know,
Mhm.
like they both seem like pretty casual dudes. Just doing their
I
thing.
would say Kizaru seems
They don't
a bit
take it
more,
too seriously.
Seems a bit more cruel. Seems a bit more like he enjoys it a
Yeah.
bit more. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I agree.
I
with
would
you. They're both lackadaisical, kind of.
Yeah. But does he need a light source, and does crap, I already forgot his name. We just
Aokiji.
said Aokiji. Does he need a water source to use his power?
No and no.
No and no.
Yep. Their bodies
Yeah,
are the element.
that would be a good matchup then. I'd be curious.
Yeah, so their bodies are literally made up of like the element,
Gotcha.
which is why when like all the Strats are trying to attack Kizaru, like all the attacks are just passing through because he's a Logia type. So we've seen like like Smoker and Ace, like when they've been attacked in the past, like they were like the stuff would just go right through them. They could turn their body intangible. So Kizaru is able to do the same thing.
Right, but they can also interact with their like Aokiji can interact with water.
Mm-hmm.
Just a sense that like he could freeze it, but that's
Right.
from within his powers. Yeah.
Right.
It's like Ace doing a fire blast. It's just him using an ice blast, but the water is the conduits, therefore it just freezes up because of the sheer cold. At least that's how I've interpreted it.
Yeah. I figured as much. I was just thinking about it more critically because I was comparing their power levels and trying to think of
100%.
limitations.
Yeah.
So speaking of power levels, Evan, is there anything that strikes you about the panel with Rayleigh and Kizaru based on what we talked about?
The fact that there's like light emanating from the kick. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I was thinking like
Or
in
something
comparison
emanating.
to how the others were trying to attack Kizaru compared to how Rayleigh is attacking Kizaru. I'm just curious if anything stands out to you in particular.
No, I guess
Or
he's blocking
how
a kick with a kick.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I should say more right now.
Don't.
I think I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, it's such a cool panel. It's like there does seem to be something like emanating from the kick.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say,
fully redirects it, like the whole direction of it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say,
He knocks it out of the way.
Think of this moment, like put aside for now, put a pin in it, and take like a second to remember this moment.
Noted.
Because
keep it in the banks. It'll be relevant. No.
Okay, I'm gonna pass to you.
Thank you. I have the talking light bulb. I will say that this moment, regardless of any other significance that we're talking about, but just like the sheer coolness of it. I remember I was just having a video game night with some friends who like weren't even into One Piece. And I'm like, okay, so there's this really old dude named Rayleigh, and he goes around town, but then an admiral comes in, and just when Zoro's about to die, he's like, kicks it out of the way. This guy's so cool. And like Rayleigh, and even then, like reading this chapter, I still got that same kind of excitement from him because Rayleigh just is that cool. Rayleigh just is that much of a Chad. Rayleigh is just that guy. Rayleigh is him, as the kids say.
He is him.
He is him. He be him.
He is the Dark King.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark King. That's right.
I was just gonna say though, I enjoy Rayleigh's like attitude here, where he says, "Don't pick the buds before they sprout. Their era is just only beginning." So he comes in and like protects them because he's like, so he's like trying to give them a chance to grow and reach their potential. So he sees something in this crew. And he's like, I want to make sure that they get to like reach their potential, which is the opposite of what the Navy would want. They'd want to like get rid of a threat before it becomes a bigger threat that they can't deal with. I do think that we do get like this like real sense of like hopelessness though, where it seems like the Straw Hats are kind of being their match because like they're already like struggling with one pacifista, and like there's more, and then like Sentomaru starts attacking, and then Sentomaru can attack Luffy. So like the rubber ability seems to like be affected by Sentomaru. And we see Sentomaru like the zoom in on his eye. So there's a detail here that they're zooming in on his eye, which we've been seeing a lot of lately.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I caught that.
Yeah, just something to note here.
Also, on a side note, Dr. Vegapunk's bodyguard, another name drop.
Oh, yep. Vegapunk comes back again. Yeah, so we actually get to see Sentomaru like in full here. We get the proper introduction. He's part of the science team. And this is the figure that we had seen in the last volume. Like we saw him like very briefly as like a silhouette. So his character was shown that he was like watching over. I think it was like during the Celestial Dragon moment with like Zoro or something. He was kind of like just watching, observing. But yeah, he was present last volume. And we've been seeing little glimpses of him throughout, and now we actually get to see him in full.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I picked up on that, the eye moment, because now looking back at it, it's like it could be using hockey during battle, which is something we haven't seen. We've only seen hockey used as like a presence, not so much as like a fighting tactic.
Yep, that could be.
I was just struck by how terrified Robin was when she heard Sentomaru start talking to Kizaru.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she knows how formidable the admirals are.
Admirals are. Yeah. Just keeps happening. Just can't shake them.
Yeah, so I mean, like the Strats definitely seem like they're outmatched here. And there's like nothing they can do against the Admiral. Like the panic in Luffy's face too. He's like, Zoro's in trouble. Like it takes a lot to make like Luffy actually legitimately worry about his like crew and not think that they can handle themselves. But like in this case here, like he does seem like legitimately concerned. Like, well, we might be like over our heads here.
Yep.
All right. Do you guys have anything else before we move on to the last chapter?
No.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. So before we wrap up, we have CP9's Independent Report, Volume 20, The Heroes Never Seen Before. The CP9 agents defeat the rest of the candy pirates on their ship.
Everything's going great.
So Crew's just having the time of his life.
The crowd's like, yeah, go get him. Okay. All right, last chapter of the volume. Chapter 512, Zoro Gone. Kizaru tells Rayleigh he heard rumors that the Dark King was on this island, but the Navy would have had to properly prepare to attempt to capture him. Rayleigh politely asks Kizaru to let the pirates go, but Kizaru can't allow that as they attack the Celestial Dragons. Luffy orders the crew to run away as they won't be able to take on these opponents. Rayleigh holds Kizaru off to allow the Straw Hats to escape. Sentomaru orders PX-1 to take on the Straw Hats while he attacks Luffy. As they each start going down, Chopper makes a move of desperation, using a third Rumble Ball to transform into a monster. As the PX-1 is about to finish off some of the Straw Hats, the real Kuma arrives and orders the unit to hold off. Kuma notes that Zoro is still alive. He removes one of his gloves and asks him if he were to take a trip, where would he go? Before he can run, Kuma uses his power, makes Zoro disappear.
What?
Okay. So let's start with Evan on this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the first time we've heard, if you were to take a trip, where would you want to go?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I'm super curious on where Zoro is, or what happened to Zoro. But that's the OG Kuma for sure.
Yep, he's got the Bible, and he recognizes Zoro. It's like, oh, you survived that thing that I did to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Good shit, bro. You want a free vacation?
All thanks to your benevolence.
Want to get away?
What if Zoro said Saboti Park?
Damn.
Oh, there you go.
You know, he'd find a way to get lost even if he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Evan, do you have any ideas what happened to Zoro?
Honestly, no. No good theories for this one.
He's dead.
Okay.
He's gone forever.
That's the end of Zoro. Poof.
Sanji will become the
Yeah.
world's greatest swordsman.
Yeah. If you're taking a vacation, where would you go? Oh, I'm going to heaven. Okay.
Oh man.
Brooke,
Yeah, I don't
That's
know. I think
why he has
he's
the
been-
Bible. He
Yeah,
sends people to
right.
heaven.
Yeah, what is it? Mercy or something? Forgot what he said when we first met him. I don't know. I'm assuming Zoro's been teleported somewhere, but I don't know where.
Okay, because that was your theory.
That was
of
my
what?
theory before as well.
Before. Okay.
Yeah, when we first met Kuma, and he teleported that woman whose name is escaping me.
Perona.
Perona. Yeah, I don't know. Very curious to find out though.
Yeah. Well, how about Sean? Like, the first time you saw this, do you remember like what your reaction was?
So I unfortunately, I kind of already knew what happened. This is
Okay.
a part where One Piece where I started to fade in and out of One Piece for a bit, and then I didn't read a lot of arcs. So we're approaching after Saobody is like arcs I just straight up have not read. Like I
Okay.
know broad stroke ideas, but I do not know a lot of like specific things that happen.
Cool.
So
Okay.
it's definitely confusing and weird. I don't know. It just seems so abrupt. It seems so like weird. Because it's
Yeah.
not like he didn't explode into fire. He didn't he's just poof gone. It's like, what the hell does this even mean? This is so like it's so confusing. There's no logic to this scenario at all. He's just gone. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I do know now, but I didn't know back then, and I don't know for sure ever.
Ever.
How about you, Cody? Do you remember what your initial reaction was?
Utter shock and confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in 8th grade when this happened. So I was trying reading in my middle school library before homeroom, and just spent the entire thinking, what happened? What happened?
Yeah.
Okay, he asked me to go on a trip. What was that? What does that even mean? Well, he asked Perona that, but we haven't seen Perona. What happened to Perona? We haven't had a side story for Perona. Is Perona alive? Is Zoro alive? I don't know what's gonna. Why did this just happen just now? Definitely took me out of commission for a day or so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like completely shocking. I'm trying to remember back because I think when I first saw this, like I was reading the series like I was pretty much binging it at this point. But I don't think I was making as many connections as we have been like on the podcast. A lot of the stuff kind of was going over my head too. So I feel like I wasn't really fully grasping what we had seen before and what we're seeing now. So going through this the first time, like I was completely shocked. I was like, I can't believe like this happened. But yeah,
Just all people.
because like we don't have like a lot of answers for like how Kuma's powers did work. Like we've made like some assumptions, we made some guesses. We tried to use the details as to what we had, but at the end of the day, we don't have the full picture, so we don't know what Zoro's fate is or what exactly happened to him. So yeah, just like that, the fact that like we leave the volume at this point is like, I think it's pretty crazy that we're leaving it like up in the air like this, and like we'll see more details next volume, and I think that will continue on like this trajectory of just being like what's happening. So like there's just like so much chaos, like everything's like devolving around them, like it feels like very desperate, and it feels like the strats are like they're not ready for like this level. Like they're kind of like they're kind of like they're getting overwhelmed really.
Mm-hmm.
So
And Luffy realized
very
that.
very rare. Yeah, we don't really see this happen. Like we haven't seen it happen at all in the series, to the point where they had a threat that they couldn't handle, and Luffy has to like back down. Luffy doesn't back down at like anything.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that Luffy has to recognize the situation, be like, "Hey, we're not ready for this. We have to try to retreat." But then they just lose Zoro,
which ironically was some pretty big captaining of Luffy, but then unfortunately it's just well, I won't get any further into it.
Yeah, and then like Chopper is desperate too. Chopper starts chowing down some rumble balls, being like I know what happens when I have the rumble balls now, but like so he has to make this like actual like effort to be like I'm gonna take this risk, but it might be the only way to like save my friends, even if I'm gonna like lose control. But maybe I can help in this way. So like it's really desperate if he's willing to go that far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sanji and Usopp are felled as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, things are looking pretty dire.
I will say, very great Usopp moment. Like really great moments for the crew itself when like they're all willing to sacrifice themselves for each other, which just speaks to their bond with each other. But Usopp specifically, Zoro says, "Put me down. I'll let you guys escape." And Usopp says, "No, you're more useless than I am right now. We're running together. Luffy gave the orders." Which for me, is someone who has always been obsessed with Usopp's journey in Water 7, this just rang so true of progress he has made through that. And he can do something to help someone. He can trust in his captain. He can, yeah. It's just it's the one shining light in this this very dire circumstance for me.
Plus Kizaru's attacks, but yeah.
Oh yeah, really, yeah. Aside from those, yeah.
But no, that's actually a really great point that I didn't make that connection. But yeah, like he's respecting Luffy's orders and leadership after like Water 7. Yeah, I think that's a really good point because of what they went through together, and he's now back to like I need to really respect my captain and take his orders seriously. So he's not like abandoning his friend. Like he's putting his own life on the line to try to help his friend.
Yeah, and not sabotaging himself mentally. Not saying I'm too useless to help. No, it's like no, Zoro's only most useful right now. He can't help. It's my job to help him.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
good shit, Usopp. Good shit,
Yeah.
Usopp.
That's really good.
And then, well, he tried.
He tried.
But I also wanted to mention just like the fight stuff with Rayleigh and Borsellino.
Yeah.
Like such cool panels. Like I really love
Mhm.
this panel where Rayleigh takes out the sword and he slashes through Kizaru's like beam. It looks like he's trying to like transfer himself through the sacred Yada mirror, and then like Rayleigh kind of cuts him off like orderly. Like the way that he's like slashing through is like so cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's such a cool panel.
Through the beam.
Slice.
Yeah. And then then Kizaru makes his own sword using the beam, and then they cross blades, which is also really cool looking.
Yeah.
He's got like a lightsaber
So
kind of
cool.
thing. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much where we end the volume here.
Yeah. I think I'm saving like my thoughts on the current moment for the next volume at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it ends on a big cliffhanger.
Yeah,
wait.
there's stuff that happens that, yeah.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, make sure you tune in next time because holy.
But yeah, do you guys have any closing thoughts for the volume as a whole?
No.
This volume is awesome. This volume had it all. It had lore.
Yeah.
It had dinosaurs. It had lightsabers. Like, come on. What more could you possibly want?
Yeah.
No, but for real, I think there are some incredible character moments and some incredible lore plot moments. And I am super hyped for 53.
For sure. How about you, Sean?
Yeah, it's another paradigm shift for the world of One Piece. Like, there's things will never we literally said this last arc, but I'm going to say it again because it continues to be true. Things will never be the same again.
Yeah.
Like, and it's rare a story can pull that off so successfully, so skillfully within this short of a time period. Usually these giant paradigm shifting events, it's going to take another like 200 chapters. Like we've had multiple in the span of like 100 chapters. Like
DC and Marvel could learn from what One Piece is doing.
100%. But yeah, I think this volume in particular was a great follow up to the last volume and like the start of the arc. This is like a lot of like really fun like characters and powers and just like so much chaos and like like we talked about like a lot of lore things, like character moments. Like there really was a lot going on. And Oda is like just masterful at like balancing all these different types of things and making such a compelling and exciting story with like all these details. Like there's so much to be excited about, like on so many different like levels. And like he just keeps like hitting like these marks like over and over again, and it's like consistently like impressive like how well he can do this. But yeah, I'm very excited like with what's going on in the story and like where the story is going, and I can't wait to to talk about the next event. So but yeah, we'll get into it more when we get there. But yeah, some exciting stuff. But for now, that will conclude this week's episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. You can find this episode wherever podcasts are found at We're Reading One Piece podcast at buzzsprout.com or on the YouTube channel at We're Reading One Piece. This is a spoiler-free channel up to where we record the podcast. So if you're new to the series, you can visit the channel there. You can also find me and this podcast on my YouTube channel at Pirate King Codex for more One Piece content. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can reach us at we'rereadingonepiece@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from listeners, so if you're enjoying the show, if you have any suggestions on how we can make it better, let us know. Next episode, we'll be discussing Volume 53, Natural Born King. I've been Joel, and I've been joined by Sean.
This has been Sean.
Evan.
Thanks for listening.
And Cody.
Where's Zoro?
Hey, anyone listening? If you were to take a trip, where would you want to go?
Fly Kuma Airlines.
Better than Delta.
Oh, yeah.
Get you there instantly.
Well, wherever you want to go, be sure to bring along all of your hopes and dreams, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Nice.